first of all, we are very grateful for CTA for the support that they have provided through the project that is just now coming to an end. Through that project, which was implemented over the past year, we have achieved quite a few outputs. The overall objective of that project is to contribute to the development of sustainable and profitable industry, the improvement of the quality of life of fisherfolk, and improvement in the nutrition in the CRFM and Karakoram region. And more specifically, it is to facilitate engagement, continuous engagement of fisherfolk organization with policy processes, policymakers and decision makers, for the implementation of key regional policies. So we had two main workshops, which were in Guyana, one in February last year, and the second one was in October. And in addition to that, we developed a number of policy documents, and information documents, advocacy documents. We developed a new website for the CNFO, the Caribbean Network of Fisherfolk Organization. We had a number of exchanges and interaction between fisherfolk representatives and policymakers. So at that second workshop that was held in Guyana, the output of that workshop, which was a statement from the CNFO, CRFM, and CTA, were primarily reflecting the views of the fisherfolk from across the region on a number of policy issues, including the FAO Code of Conduct and Responsible Fisheries, the voluntary guidelines on responsible governance of tenure of land, fisheries and forestry in the context of national food security, the voluntary guidelines for sustainable small-scale fisheries in the context of food security and poverty eradication, the International Labour Organization Work in Fishing Convention of 2007. The meeting considered the control and mitigation of lionfish. It considered the Caribbean Community Common Fisheries Policy, the Castries Declaration on illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, the ecosystems approach to fisheries, climate change adaptation and disaster risk management in the fisheries sector, the role of fish and seafood in food and nutrition security in the region, as well as the Caribbean Large Marine Ecosystems Project, that's the CLME project, the recently adopted Information and Communication Technology and the Knowledge Sharing Strategy that was adopted at the regional level, the project entitled Too Big to Ignore, the Global Partnership for Small-Scale Fisheries Research, as well as capacity development initiatives. So the fisherfolk across the region through the CNFO, in collaboration with National Fisheries Administration, directors of fisheries, fisheries administrators, chief fisheries officers, etc., put together this statement, which was then presented to the ministers, representing the ministers responsible for fisheries, ministers of agriculture, as well as the quoted. So these were quite significant engagements that took place last year. We have also a number of policy briefs that were prepared and issues papers covering a wide range of issues in the fisheries sector, and they reflect to a great extent the views and issues that are of concern to fisherfolk across the region. So one of the final activity that we have to do under this project is to present to you with a computer. So on behalf of this project, on behalf of our donor partner, the CTA, the CRFM, and the CNFO, we are presenting this laptop computer to you. The purpose of that laptop is to ensure that you are able to continue the work in communicating, exchanging information, sharing information, and interacting with your colleagues across the region, as well as in Belize. Information sharing, the use of information technology, that's the way to go. And we're hoping that through the new website that was developed with funding under this project, with this hardware that you now have, and with training and sensitization that have been provided to representatives from the fisherfolk organizations in various ICT tools, that this will go a long way in strengthening the interaction as well as the governance arrangements and your ability to participate in decision-making processes locally, nationally, as well as regionally. So without further ado, I will hand over the equipment and ask you to sign this receiving the computer. Now, one of the things that we have been working on, a priority activity for a number of years, is the development of a common fisheries policy. We got news towards the end of last year that the Legal Affairs Committee of CARICOM reviewed the policy and finally recommended it to the heads of government for a signature at their next meeting, which would be next month, February, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We are going to be giving you some documentation regarding the common fisheries policy that we are asking that you share with your constituents, your membership. So we have some posters. We have a folder like this. We have a number of documents in it, pamphlets that gives a little overview on the common fisheries policy. We have a small poster again that just this poster provides information about the common fisheries policy. We have a leaflet here with some facts on the common fisheries policy, just saying what it is, and then some additional background documentation that you may find useful. Yeah, Mr. Alvarez, on behalf of the CRFM and our donor partner, the CTA, it is my pleasure to hand over to you this laptop computer and other computer equipment, as well as a number of documents representing outputs of the CTA funded project, which we have been implementing over the past year, aimed at strengthening the capacity of fisherfolk organizations to engage with policymakers at the national level as well as at the regional level through the network of Caribbean Fisherfolk Organization, CNFO. So thank you very much, my pleasure.
Well, it's my pleasure to also to thank you for this gift, and I can assure CRFN, CTA, and CNFO that it will be very valuable to our organization and to the fisher folks of Belize.
Excellent. Good. All right. On food and nutrition security, the role of fish and seafood in food and nutrition security in the Caribbean. Very, very informative documents, and hope you find them very useful. I'm sure you will. Also, we have a number of issues papers that these papers discuss issues related to climate change, the Common Fisheries Policy, the Castries Declaration on IUU fishing, or IUU fishing really, as well as climate change, disaster risk management, and the ecosystems approach in fisheries. Yes.
And these are very vital information that we can share with these fisher folks now, especially in times of these climate changes. So,
Right.
I know, but we will definitely get these message across to them, to our guys, them, and
Right. And we have circulated these to policymakers in the region also, to chief fisheries officers, government officials, as well as ministers responsible for fisheries. So these have been distributed widely. And finally, we have here a number of reports. These are the reports of the various technical workshops that were held over the past year under the project. So these are actually reports of meetings of fisherfolk representatives capturing their views and perspectives on various issues. Okay, and then in this panel we have the documents related to the Common Fisheries Policy. Okay.
and thanks a lot.
Good. Yes.